At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
What's your most toxic Las Vegas trait? Today at CityCast Las Vegas, I'm talking with artist Justin Favela and my co-host Dayvid Figler about our worst habits and most shameless acts that are defined by our city. It's Monday, March 17th. I'm Sarah Loman, and here is what Las Vegas is talking about. Gentlemen, so I'm thinking of a toxic trait as like a bad habit your city inspires you to take on, perhaps defines you, and that also you're not necessarily ashamed about either. Justin is nodding fervently.
There's so many.
I hadn't really considered it until this topic came up, because I also thought, I saw you not too long ago, Justin, and I was like, I think I'm too young a vegan to have a toxic trait, but I think I've hit on a few. Justin, why don't you go first then? You're chomping at the bit.
Well, I have a lot surrounding the car culture in Las Vegas, right?
Yep.
And so,
yeah,
I've already said it before on this show. If there's not parking, don't invite me, right? If I have to park on the street, like, I never learned how to parallel park. I'm from Vegas, right? But I think it's definitely when I go shopping and I'm in a big shopping center and I'll go to one store and maybe 2 or 3 stores down is my next destination. I will get back in my car
Justin.
and drive there.
He's not alone. This is a
just,
Vegas trait.
Listen, it's the culture. We've been doing it since my mom would go to Mervyn's, California, and then we would go over to, drive over to Target.
I'm actually agog. My mouth is, I'm still so new here that I am going to be scandalized by the things you say. But honestly, though, I also recognize what a freak I am, which is what 13 years in New York does to you, that you try to walk everywhere and you're just walking on the side of a highway because you're like, it's just a mile.
I've seen people do it in the Arts District. They could be parked over at Vesta, and then they want to go over to, like, Abel Baker. They will get in their car. I've seen it. In that shopping center, Justin, I'm sure you'll back me up here, you have to factor in things like the heat, the wind, where the shopping carts are, all that stuff.
Exactly.
Let me tell you all about my days as a youth in New York City, where even in the month of February, when it was 6 degrees.
Here we go, Grandma.
You still had to walk to the train, uphill, both ways. I had to walk literally over a bridge, you guys.
What's a train? Is that like a personal car that's bigger?
I know. If only we had them here. Ugh. All right. It's like a Tesla tunnel.
Oh,
just kidding.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I mean, there's so many toxic traits that I think that Las Vegans have about just car culture in general, like parking. If there's no parking there, if there's not a parking lot, we're not going. Or, always complaining about construction, even though we're a relatively new city. So guess what, people? There will always be construction. Just live with it, but we have to complain about it.
Speaking as a national resident too, I think part of it is in other parts of the country, you do get a break from construction, like half of the year, and you do not in Vegas. It is constant and ongoing. All right, Figler, what is you've been here the longest by the fact that you're older?
Always being reminded of this. Sure.
That's just facts.
I embrace it.
So you must have probably the most toxic traits, Vegas toxic traits.
Oh, yeah, they are entrenched, built upon themselves, intractable. Also related, just going on the theme of what Favi said, convenience is so taken for granted here that if it's not convenient, I'm not interested. So parking is definitely up there. If it is too far to drive, if it's crossing the strip and I'm not feeling it, I'll just pass on something great because it's not convenient to wait the extra 5 minutes to get across the strip sometimes. Like, that is ridiculously toxic. To be mad when a bar closes, like, oh, F this place, I'm never coming back. They closed at 2 a.m. It's like, that's not supposed to happen. Or if like the grocery store that I used to go to all the time at 4 a.m. when I needed, an apple is like reasonably closed. It's like, what's happening with this town? I get so mad at my city for not being 24/7 everywhere all the time. But I think that the biggest, like, take it for granted in my community that I can own as a toxic trait is just being entrenched in the comp culture, the complementary culture. The fact that
you are deep in it, Dayvid. I agree.
I am deep in it. And, I always think that a comp is so going to come my way for something that I will pass on stuff that I really, really wanted to go to because I didn't get a comp. And conversely, we'll go to some things that I'd give a rat's butt about if a comp comes my way, because why the hell not?
Yeah, why not? You got nothing to lose.
And I think that's the beauty of that toxic trait is that you do experience some things that you otherwise would not have. But sometimes it's a little like, okay, just pay the Coliseum to go see Alanis Morissette. It doesn't mean tickets have to come your way to go see it.
You're expecting comps from Alanis Morissette?
I am. I'm expecting comps for all the big things. Now, the caveat to that is don't expect comps for the little shows. You got to support your local homegrown shows. So that's not somewhere where you expect comps or even demand comps. And you should figure out a way to compensate, even if you get comps, like make sure to buy all the merch or whatever it is. But yeah, for the bigger things in town, if a comp comes my way, I will go to F1 because a comp came my way. But I will skip my favorite band if a comp didn't come my way. What is wrong with me? Toxic.
Heads up, everybody. Dayvid Figler can be bought.
Oh, well, clearly.
I mean, I was so close.
I mean, what journalist in this town can't? What?
I mean, I was really close to going to a Nickelback concert once because it was free.
Sure, I'd go with you, Fabi. I'd go right with you,
just for the experience, right? Just to see what happens there. But then I thought about the parking, so I didn't.
Oh, see, there you go. Trumped.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, do you have a couple, most of them are ones that I've observed in Las Vegas and are kind of driving me crazy, but I'm sure I'll do one day. And one of them is my personal toxic trait. So which one would you like to hear first?
Personal toxic trait, Vegas. Yeah.
Okay.
Vegas version.
As I've already mentioned in this episode, I've lived in other places. So especially when I'm in those places and people start talking about Vegas, I'm immediately like, actually Las Vegas isn't just the Strip. It's actually has a lot of culture and it's super diverse and really beautiful. And actually it's kind of a big city. There's 2.3 million people there. So that has to be really grating. And
Hyper defensivity.
Yes, we're all very defensive of Vegas, I think, unless we can tap into that place where we're like, yeah, whatever, just come to the Strip and spend your money. We really don't care. I love having a place where all the tourists are corralled in Vegas. But I just can't help myself if someone starts bad talking Vegas to be like, actually, no, not you guys.
Oh, no, I'm the same way. And that toxicity probably comes up most when I look at movies that are made in Las Vegas or anything written about Las Vegas, just honing in on the mistakes that they make or the errors or the context that's not there and just really blowing up. But that said, I think Fabio will agree with me that when we watch Vegas films and they're in front of the Bellagio and then the next cut they're in front of the Golden Nugget and then the next cut they're in front of the Boulder Dam.
Yeah, out of nowhere, they're in North Las Vegas, and you're like, wow, you really needed the shot of the drive-in, so it's
but
all
the getting mad. The getting mad at that is the toxic Vegas trait.
Yeah, we get angry about it all the time, that's for sure. And the misrepresentation of Vegas everywhere, I mean, it's just a constant. I mean, I think I was more defensive before, but now I kind of let it go because the people that know what Vegas really is about, and so especially when it comes to people that just experience the Strip, right? And you're trying to prove to them, hello, we actually live here in neighborhoods. Yeah.
Yes.
But going too strong on that might be the toxic trait. So we're with you on that one, Sarah.
Oh, yeah, we're obnoxious. But like the scene in Showgirls that made me the most furious was not the famous dolphin pool party sex scene with Kyle MacLachlan. It was when she was just hanging out in front of the Luxor, like on the median. I'm like, yeah, just like all Las Vegans do. This is actually a great segue to a submission from producer Layla Muhammad. She says that her toxic trait is saying sloppy drunk tourists can't handle Vegas, but when I partied, I would be throwing up on the side of the street with my heels off right next to them.
Lack of self-awareness.
Yeah, throwing up next to her heels, which, you know what, though, credit to Layla, because that means she wasn't wobbling down the street and then she just discarded them.
She knows. I mean, that's the opposite of a toxic trait. That's like a great life hack for being in Vegas is wearing the comfortable shoes and or no shoes when necessary.
Mm-hmm. You know, going to college here, I think one of my toxic traits was when like somebody that came here that was not used to the 24-hour city, was not used to gambling and drinking all the time. I would watch them year after year in my classes, right? Like slowly these people would start to disappear, not come to school anymore because Vegas would swallow them up. You know, it was like just too much partying for a college kid, too much freedom. And in my head, instead of saying like, yeah, you know, we do have a very toxic, binge drinking culture. Yeah, sure, maybe we shouldn't be doing all. Yeah, instead I was like, wow, what a weak person. They really, literally,
you're the best. You're the
Isn't
best.
that so toxic? So my best friend in college had to leave because he was an alcoholic, and I was like, couldn't cut it. Weak, you know, like that's so messed up.
That's not even so funny.
But I mean, when you grow up around it, it's not tantalizing to me, to you, to anybody that grew up here, right? So, or a lot of us that grew up here, and so when we see them, like Vegas really, you know, making, you know, they're living up to the expectations of Vegas at that point. Yeah.
Whenever a friend is in town, like not to visit me, like a conference or their bachelor party or whatever, usually I see them like on the first day and they're like, this was amazing. I'm totally going to text you later this weekend. I'll see you. And I'm like, oh, okay. They're like, no. I'm like, I have free time tomorrow. I'm like, we'll see. They never do. It's not their fault. They got Las Vegas. Like they are just gone. They disappeared into the strip, and that is what it is there for. That's what happens.
The first ever TEDx Las Vegas event is happening on April 5th at the Keep Memory Alive Event Center in downtown Las Vegas. TEDx Las Vegas is more than a local event, it's a global platform. After the talks, they're shared with 42 million subscribers worldwide on the official TEDx YouTube channel. Speakers this time will include an Olympic gold medalist, a former member of the Raiders, a filmmaker, a restaurateur, a climate scientist, educators, performers, and more. Personally, I'm excited to see poets and community activists Rodney Lee and Elizabeth Allen Berry, as well as Neon Museum Executive Director Aaron Berger. Tickets start at $150 for general admission and $250 for VIP, which includes priority seating, a commemorative gift, and entry to a dine-around dinner post-event. Limited tickets remain, so grab yours at www.tedxlasvegas.org/tickets.
This episode is sponsored by Babbel. Are you holding back on foreign travel plans this year because you're afraid of the language gap? I'm not, because I have Babbel. I'm Dayvid Plotz, the CEO of CityCast, and I'm learning Spanish on Babbel, getting ready for a trip to Mexico City. Babbel is the language learning app that gets you talking. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons, handcrafted by over 200 language experts, get you to begin speaking your new language in 3 weeks or at whatever pace you choose. Babbel's tips and tools are inspired by the real-life stuff you actually need when communicating. With a focus on conversation, you'll be ready to talk wherever you go. Babbel has given me great lessons on getting directions, ordering in a restaurant, and making plans. And of all the things I'm doing in Mexico City, I'm probably most excited about the soccer game we're going to. So I was excited to learn how to cheer from Babbel. That'll be me you'll hear yelling, "Fuerza Tigres! Fuerza Tigres!" With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by a 20-day money-back guarantee. Let's get more of you talking in a new language. Babbel is gifting our listeners 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Babbel.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Justin, do you have another toxic trait for me?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know if it's everybody because I grew up in a household that had very strict AC rules. But as soon as it starts to warm up, if it hits like 70 outside, a lot of people kick on their ACs. Like very liberal AC use here, which I find pretty wild, especially when it's cold out. You're like, just get an extra blanket. I don't know. It's not that cold here sometimes, you know?
That actually goes along really well with something that, like, I think is an equally toxic trait to AC over usage, is that Las Vegans, including me, we will brag about how high the thermostat is set in the summer. Dayvid, what do you set your thermostat to in the summer?
90. No, I don't know.
Baloney.
I think we're always around 80. Isn't that what you do?
I'm at 80.
Yeah.
82, gentlemen.
But there's a lot of conversation around that. Like another possibly toxic trait is the obnoxiousness of locals saying, I haven't turned on my air yet. Like literally suffering to at least make it to May 1st.
That's
so
part of
that
the
you
82.
don't go early, too early. Like you don't want to show your week.
You suffer like Jesus. You are frugal, which is also moral. Like that is what you're communicating. And I think going along with that, I'm gonna read one of Sonia's, and we'll come back to you. So, executive producer Sonia Swanson's most toxic trait is complaining about the cold every time it drops below 65 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hoodie weather, which it is. It's a dry heat, but it's a dry cold too. It's really chilly. But for me, it's how Las Vegans complain about the heat that drives me crazy in like a competitive way.
What?
Like, oh my God, it burned the sidewalk burned the bottom of my feet. Oh my God, I left a chapstick in my car and it melted all over the place. Like, no shit,
Who are you talking
everybody.
to?
It's so hot. They complain. You all complain about the heat constantly.
I think the opposite. I think we brag about how we endure the heat constantly.
Justin agrees with me.
Are we saying the same thing?
I think I don't know. I mean, I do complain about the heat, but also I've adapted where I don't really go outside in the summertime.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's our winter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I definitely get that same seasonal depression I used to get out east, like here in July and August.
Right.
For
Exactly.
sure. Okay, Dayvid, do you have another toxic trait for me?
I think the city as a whole lacks a sense of humor about itself. I think we're way too sensitive, and this kind of goes with defensiveness, that we don't like to take any criticism. Marketing is king and questions are a diversion. So don't ask.
Does this go along with our defensiveness? Do you feel like you don't have a sense of humor?
Yes. This is a subcategory of our toxicity.
What do you think, Justin? Does Vegas not have a sense of humor about itself?
I think it depends. If you're a little bit newer here and you're trying to like establish your identity as a Las Vegan, maybe you take it a little bit more seriously than people that have been around, been there, done that. History repeats itself on the Strip, so we're, and in Vegas a lot of times. But yeah, I would say I am still pretty defensive, especially when I go to other cities. And I'm there and I'm like, well, what's the big deal over here? Like,
Wow.
I don't know. Like, okay, New York is great, but oh my gosh, there's so many people. And it's like, and it smells like piss everywhere, right? Or pee. Oh, sorry.
I think, I don't know if we have to mark this as explicit.
I think
I
we're
can't even think of it.
okay.
Explicit.
It does smell like urine in New York. It also smells like urine and weed here a lot too these days.
I've smelled some pee here in Las Vegas, and it doesn't rain very much. But like counterpoint, I think that Vegas really embraces its kitsch. Like, right? We love our kitschy history. We love the sort of bombastic over the topness. Like, even if we're not active participants as residents here, we still appreciate how over the top Vegas is and that you can be here, right? Like, you could walk down the street wearing whatever wild outfit you want to, and if anyone said anything to you, it would be a compliment.
I think that's the difference between the class clown and the class comedian. Everyone feel free to act the fool and be funny that way and kitschy. But when it comes down to like actually making fun of some of the ridiculous decisions that are made on our behalf or decisions that are made within the community, we're very fragile. We can't even mock it at all. And I think it's very mockable. I think a humor magazine coming back. We used to have one in Las Vegas for a few years called Las Vegas Mercury. I think something like that should come back, but I also think that they got a lot of pushback for just mocking the powers that be.
Justin, do you think that there is a stereotype or a reality personality for Las Vegas? Like New Yorkers are stereotyped to be mean, Midwesterners are nice. Like, do we have something like that?
I mean, I guess the big thing here is like the hustle culture. Like we really put the service industry, just industry people like on a pedestal here. I mean, I've gone to with you, Dayvid, I've gone to like industry events, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that is kind of a Vegas. I mean, it is definitely a Vegas toxic trait, is like this kind of like self-importance. And because this town, just like any town, but especially this town, if you know somebody, you can kind of get really far, right? So it's like who you know. And that's just like on a different level here because, I mean, literally, I have a Sam's Town jacket that I wear sometimes because I love the color of it.
Yeah.
But sometimes people think I work at Sam's Town because I'm wearing it. And they treat me different. They like, it's like another level of respect because you're like, oh, you work in a casino.
It's like being a first responder in a place like New York.
Exactly.
To be in hospitality here, you get a little bit of play. I'll give you that, Justin. I think that's right.
I've gotten discounts before just because I'm like wearing a casino jacket, you know, which is amazing. But also, it's like I don't know. I'm these like Dayvid was saying, these marketing events. It's like okay, like I don't think I'm ever gonna come back to this casino to eat this overpriced sliders at this, you know, brew pub themed restaurant or whatever, you know.
I don't get treated differently when I'm wearing my CityCast garb. So, Vegas, you need to work on that.
It's only a matter of time, Sarah Loman. We're impacting our community every day in new ways.
Do either of you have like a one last like super fun toxic trait of Las Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, to jump back on the car culture thing, you know, we complain a lot about not having like local places to eat at, but when it boils down to it, we end up going to the closest place with a drive-through. Because we don't want to get out of the car.
Oh, that is one of my toxic traits. Oh,
I feel like a lot of us do that and don't say it, you know, but it's like...
Oof.
Why is there Del Taco wrappers in the back of your car? I don't know.
I don't know. Support local taco shops.
One of Las Vegas's greatest contributions to America is the drive-through coffee shop. I don't know if you invented it here, but when I came here, I was like, oh my God. And now when I'm in any other city, I'm like, I have to get out of my car to go get coffee? No.
Unbelievable.
And it's not just a Starbucks situation. You can get so many delicious things through drive-thrus. We really should do a drive-thru roundup. I love it. Thank you. This is also Southern California culture with all the like fast food joints that came out of there, but I'm obsessed with it. But speaking of Southern California, what I feel is Las Vegans' most number one toxic trait is blaming Californians for everything. Yes, I see you enthusiastically agreeing. Yeah,
we share this. We share this with Oregon, by the way, with Portland. They also blame California for all their woes. But yes, we do.
Justin, what are some things that Californians have done to you and to our city?
How have Californians hurt you, Justin? Show us on the doll.
Well, they keep moving here and telling us that we don't know how to drive.
Oh,
that's
my
wild.
God.
I'm like,
that is wild. LA, I've been in you. I've seen you drive.
I've driven in LA, exactly.
It's insane. Why are they driving so slow? What is happening?
If anything, we're like a little bit more defensive and alert in Vegas because we have people from all around the country living here. Everybody's driving differently. Like there's always somebody driving too slow. There's always somebody driving too fast. And we just have to, you know, keep an eye out for drivers from California who say that we drive terribly.
And God forbid there's a drop of water on the road. Right?
Yeah. And you know what? Before we wrap up, I'm going to give Vegas a little bit of a love letter because one of the things that I love about us compared to other places with beautiful weather is that we're really uptight. We're really tense people. And so as a New York City resident, I appreciate those levels of anxiety. I'm glad that we're not chill like SoCal and the rest of the Southwest. We're really pretty manic. Dayvid, Justin, thank you so much. You've made me so much more self-aware, and I don't care.
We're happy we could help.
I look forward to enjoying some of these toxic traits with you as we adventure through our city.
Yeah. That's all for today here in CityCast Las Vegas. Hey, if you've got a toxic trait that you want to share, you should send us an email to lasvegas@citycast.fm. You can also text us too, and that phone number is in the show notes. If you enjoyed the show, you should tell a friend and discuss your toxic traits and whether or not you're ashamed of them. Rate our show, leave us a review, subscribe to our morning newsletter, all the good stuff. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.
Sarah, let me ask you, are sunglasses on the back of the head, which I see a lot of gentlemen of a certain age doing,
really?
Is that like a Vegas thing?
Is there hat turned around backwards too?
Yeah. It's like hat on backwards with the sunglasses on the back of their head.
That might be the most toxic trait we've brought up.
Yeah.
No, I don't see that other places.
I do see that a lot here.
That's the
Maybe
toxicity
Miami.
coming in from Southern California. That's for sure. That's Oakley's culture. Yeah.
Hella Oakley.